the nail game, isn't it? It's quite dramatic.
So they often have quite a lot of rust around them, so they've got something that's actually sort of binding to the wood.
Oh, I see.
So sometimes it makes that sort of noise, and then once it's released, it's a dramatic moment. Dramatic noise.
Yes.
This painting shows the Adoration of the Kings, painted by Botticelli. Florentine restorers and framers in the mid-19th century were extremely skilled at sort of faking up paintings with new frames that looked like old ones. This is quite common for these long panels to develop a slightly concave warp. The frame elements were carved to fit it. When I looked at the X-rays, I realised that actually I could see the paint was continuing under the mouldings of the frame. Therefore, the frame was definitely covering original paint. At the sides, the frame didn't fit very well, and so extra bits of painting were added, and they're not terribly well done. Everybody agreed that the frame should be removed.
Jill's done a really careful cleaning, and we're ready now to actually have a look underneath this 19th century frame.
This is an extremely exciting but slightly nerve-wracking moment for me. I will just be helping Britta, who's actually going to remove the frame. We began the process of removing the frame with the easier part, which was taking the frame mouldings off the sides.
Because ideally we wanted to come off in one piece.
Ideally, but it's not a disaster, obviously.
And then there's a crack in the panel, so I want to make sure that I'm supporting that at the same time.
Yes.
So while I lever it up, I don't really want to damage either the panel or the frame.
Yeah.
And this is a good sort of test, really, in terms of then coming and working where we know that there's paint beneath the frame, because we know that here
there's just wood
the original paint only comes up to here, so we know that there's just wood underneath here, so it's not such an issue.
That shows now the original wood, and then these borders where the painting had been extended. This removal of the sides went very well.
Gosh!
And we will now do the really difficult bit, which is removing the mouldings from the top and the bottom. Of course, it's more difficult because the nails were sticking out through the moulding, so it was particularly important that they didn't slip back and scratch the surface of the original paint. So my job was really just to keep my fingers underneath to stop that happening.
We've now got 2 nails free and I've got my fingers under them, so don't let it go.
The bottom, I have to admit, was initially a little bit disappointing. I'd already noticed in the X-ray that there were shadowy areas which told me there was no paint, so I thought there are losses. And I think, in fact, what may have happened is that there is water damage along the bottom edge. The whole panel may have sat in water for some reason, and that caused the paint to flake. That might even have been one reason for them reframing the painting. But the top was better than I'd ever dared hope. As we levered it up, everything that I was hoping and expecting to see from the examination of the X-ray appeared.
Do you want me to brush it off a little?
Yes, why not? Yes.
Look, you can see your architecture. Come here.
Oh. Yes, there's the roof. Oh, look, it's I'm getting very excited. I'm terribly relieved. It's amazing. Oh, look, it's all the way up.
Yeah.
So we now see the full architecture of the stable, these curious black and white broken mouldings, and then the architecture here of this huge square arch, which made so little sense when it was cut by the frame. We now understand the perspective.
Thumbs up?
Big thumbs up.